Part 1, The New Beginning. Hollowbrook House stood at the end of a long, winding road, nestled deep within the heart of the dense forest that surrounded the town. It had been abandoned for years, left to decay and rot away from the memory of the townsfolk. That was until Sarah and Michael Owens arrived in town, seeking a fresh start in the form of their new home. The couple had been through a series of setbacks in the city, job losses, financial woes, and a recent miscarriage that had left them emotionally shattered. Hollowbrook House, with its old-world charm and affordable price tag, seemed like the perfect place to heal their wounds and rebuild their lives. As the Owens family approached their new home, they couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The house, with its imposing facade and ivy-covered walls, seemed to exude a malevolent presence. The townspeople had warned them to stay away from the place, citing strange occurrences and dark rumors, but Sarah and Michael were determined to make it their own. Part 2, The Unsettling Discoveries. The first few weeks in Hollowbrook House were peaceful, and Sarah and Michael began to believe that the rumors were nothing more than idle chatter. They spent their days exploring the overgrown garden and renovating the neglected rooms, filling them with their dreams and aspirations. Yet, as time passed, they couldn't ignore the subtle signs that something was amiss. Objects would move on their own, footsteps echoed in empty hallways, and the air grew thick with an unsettling chill. They brushed these incidents aside, attributing them to the house's age and quirks. One evening, as they sat in the dimly lit living room, they heard faint whispers, barely audible, like the sighing of the wind through the trees. The voices seemed to come from the walls themselves, whispering secrets and promises of hidden treasures. Sarah and Michael exchanged uneasy glances, but they dared not speak of what they had heard. They didn't want to admit that something was terribly wrong with their newfound sanctuary. Part 3, The Dark History. Desperate for answers, Sarah began to research the history of Hollowbrook House. What she uncovered sent shivers down her spine. The house had been built in the 1800s by the reclusive Blackwood family, known for their obsession with the occult and dark rituals. The Blackwoods had vanished mysteriously, leaving the mansion abandoned for over a century. Local legend spoke of their pact with a malevolent entity that dwelled within the house's walls, a sinister force that craved the souls of the living. The more Sarah delved into the house's history, the more convinced she became that they were not alone in Hollowbrook House. She confided in Michael, who, though skeptical at first, couldn't deny the mounting evidence of paranormal activity. Part 4, The Paranormal Investigation. Determined to uncover the truth, the Owens family reached out to a team of paranormal investigators. The experts set up cameras and audio recording devices throughout the mansion, their skepticism waning as they reviewed the unsettling evidence that emerged. They captured eerie EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, of ghostly whispers and chilling images of shadowy figures that seemed to lurk in the corners of each room. The investigators conducted seances and attempted to communicate with the spirits that inhabited the house. One night, during a particularly intense seance, Sarah and Michael made contact with the spirit of Emily Blackwood, the youngest daughter of the Blackwood family. She appeared as a pale, ethereal figure, her eyes empty voids of darkness. She spoke of the entity that had consumed her family and now sought to claim their souls. Part 5, The Malevolent Entity. With each passing day, the malevolent entity in Hollowbrook House grew stronger and more hostile. It targeted the Owens family relentlessly, tormenting them with nightmarish visions and poltergeist activity. Sarah and Michael's once loving relationship strained under the weight of the malevolence that surrounded them. Emily Blackwood's spirit continued to communicate with them, warning them of the entity's insatiable hunger for their souls. She pleaded with them to leave the house before it was too late, but the Owens family was trapped in a nightmarish cycle of fear and despair. Part 6, The Descent into Madness. As the weeks turned into months, the Owens family's sanity began to unravel. They became sleep-deprived, their nights filled with horrific nightmares. Sarah became obsessed with deciphering the cryptic messages hidden within the Blackwood family's diaries, convinced they held the key to defeating the malevolent entity. Michael, on the other hand, grew increasingly distant, his once rational mind clouded by paranoia and fear. He began to hear the whispers more clearly, their voices luring him deeper into the house's darkness lifted. Part 8, The Aftermath. The Owens family emerged from the ordeal forever changed. The scars of their experience ran deep, but they found solace in knowing that they had faced a malevolent entity and survived. They left Hollowbrook House behind, never looking back. The mansion remained abandoned, a haunted relic of the past, a dark secret that the townsfolk of Hollowbrook would never forget. The whispers still echoed in the minds of Sarah, Michael, and their daughter, a haunting reminder of the horrors they had faced. And so, the legend of Hollowbrook House lived on, a chilling tale of a family's struggle against a malevolent force that dwelled in the shadows, waiting to claim the souls of the living.